You know the content fuels your business, and as customer journeys transition from physical to digital touchpoints, content is now more important, valuable, deployable, and measurable than ever. Knowing how to create impactful content is one thing, but doing it at scale across your enterprise is another. That's where content governance comes into play. With the Content Governance Playbook by Acrolinx, we'll explore the discipline of content governance, a systematic approach to achieve and maintain your company's content strategy and measuring its success. Download it free right now at thetilt.com/acro2. That's www.thetilt.com/ACRO and the number 2. Do you podcast and need high quality audio, but maybe haven't found that recording solution that really works for you? If you will, give Riverside.fm a try. Riverside is made for anyone who would like to record quality audio and or video from anywhere. I've used it hundreds of times and I love how it records to the cloud and to my hard drive for you and your guest, and I don't have to fiddle around with the audio afterward. And because you listen to This Old Marketing, just go to riverside.fm and use code JOE30, JOE30, for a 30% discount off any Riverside membership plan. 30, baby. Give it a try today.
And now, for your listening pleasure, here's Polizzi and Rose, covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. This Old Marketing. Take it away, boys.
Well, hello, my friends. This is Robert Rose. Welcome to episode number 355 of This Old Marketing for December 22nd, 2022. Almost Santa time. And with me, as always, my good friend, my colleague, and I think probably the only guy not being considered for the role of replacement CEO at Twitter, Mr. Joe Polizzi. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy holidays.
All
Happy
the things.
Hanukkah.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that I saw a couple people on my feed that are not overly famous that actually got DM responses from Elon Musk.
I saw that as well.
What?
I saw that as well. And I have to tell you, I was a little surprised that I mean, I don't know that I should be surprised, given everything else in the world with Elon Musk. But
well, I guess we don't want to steal the thunder because we have a special section of the show now that we talk about this stuff. So I don't know if we should get into it at this point. But I guess my question: do you have big holiday plans? Are you doing anything? Are you going anywhere?
No, we'll go up to our place in Montecito, which Santa Barbara, for those of you who want a broader set of geography, and we'll spend the week up there. It's I've talked about it on the show before. We go there all the time, but it's a great place to just get away from everything for the next week. And the hope is to do not a lot of anything, quite honestly. It's to step away from screens and sit and drink wine and eat food and have family and marry and just take a break. So yeah, I guess that's doing something, but it's not a lot of anything important. Good. How about you? You're traveling a little bit, yeah?
No. Well, I did some travel to bring in family from outside the state.
Right.
So I've done a little bit of that. But it's, to be honest, it's really crazy right now because I have part of my family.
The weather
is quarantining themselves because they got COVID. So I've got some of that going on. And then the other thing that's happening here, as we speak, there's this big cold front coming in here over the Midwest and the Northeast.
Cyclone.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. But I mean, the temperature is going to be, towards zero. So and that's negative many Celsius if you're in Europe.
Exactly. Yeah.
So so that's going to be a thing. Like we're even talking. We're supposed to go to the Browns game on Saturday, and we're like, do I really want to be in that kind of weather when it's a meaningless game? But to answer your question,
is it meaningless? Are you? You're not mathematically.
Yeah. There's a 0.8% chance or something like that we will make it. So that's no chance at all. But
right. Right.
I want to go to the game. I'd love to. The last game I was surprised the way they played, and I'd like to see it again. especially the defense. But I don't know if I want to stand out there. I'm a cold baby.
Sure.
You know I'm a cold baby. I can't take.
Oh no, right? You're sensitive to
Yes.
that, right? I mean, and I don't mean like emotionally sensitive. I mean medically sensitive to that kind of thing, right? You take off your gloves and that it's a challenge for
Well,
you.
it is. So the last game we went to, it was about freeze. So whatever, 32, 35 degrees. It wasn't so bad. But my wife got me this wonderful, the thing the quarterbacks use to keep their hands warm. It's like a pouch,
Right.
like a fanny
Yep.
pack. I have one of
Yep.
those that has a battery hooked up to it and keeps it really, really warm. So I stick my hands in there like a kangaroo, and it's wonderful. So I've been taking this everywhere with me, and people look. I get strange looks, but it's definitely worth keeping the warm fanny pack with me at all times. To answer your question about the holidays, everything's up in the air right now because we have family that might not come in because of the coldness, the ones with small kids. And so honestly, right now, I don't even know what's going on and how we're going to celebrate. So it's an open playbook at this point.
It seems like 90% of the people that I know in the last 2 weeks have either gotten the flu, gotten COVID, gotten RSV. Basically, anybody with kids is sick right now. It seems like it's crazy the amount of flu and sickness that's going around right now.
Those kids. See, that's why you don't want kids.
Little mouth breathers.
They just pick things off the floor. They lick the floor. I'll tell you what, though, if you want a healthy household, really, that's where you just let your kids do whatever because you do build up immunity long term.
Oh, sure.
It's really, really good.
Yeah. My mom, my mom encouraged us to do things like eat dirt and all that stuff when I was a kid. We were encouraged to get dirty because she was a nurse. And she said it's the best way for this. I don't know if this is medically true or not, but this was my mom speaking. She would say it's the best way to build up immunity is to sort of go get dirty. And so every time we'd go play in the mud or go eat dirt or whatever, she'd be like, okay, that's good. Clean up now, hose you off before you come in, but good.
Well, and it worked for you because here you are in retirement age, still going strong.
There we go. All right. Well done. Well played. Thank you very much.
No. It's all good. So, and anyways,
I know it's all good. I know you don't have to
it's
tell
all
me
good
it's
that
all
you're
good.
old. Well, you'll always be older than I am. Well, I'm struggling with
true.
this. You've seen me post this stuff. I'm coming in really quickly to my 50th birthday. And I'm trying to figure out how to overanalyze the situation as much as possible.
Yes.
And I'm doing a really good job of it. At least my wife thinks so.
Well, you do a good job of overanalyzing most things, but I'm sure that this is high on the list. Don't overthink it. Just really don't. I mean, it's 50 for me was quite joyous. Actually, I found it very freeing for some reason. I don't know why, but 55 was more difficult for me than 50
because 55 is rounding up to 60.
I don't know. I don't know why. It felt like I was crossing some line at that point. 55 was like, oh, okay. Now I'm closer to 60, but I was closer to 60 than when I was 50. 50. I mean, I've always been closer to 60 every time, but it's. I think 60 will be hard for me, but 50 was not. 50 was not hard because I felt. Look, I still feel really young. I feel good. My health is good, and aside from a few, there's that great scene in what is it? It's City Slickers when he goes and visits the class, and he said, in your 40s you'll develop a thing that you really don't know what it is. And 55, and when you hit your 50s, you'll start having aches and pains where you never had aches and pains. When you hit your 60s, hair starts growing from places you never thought possible. It's like
that's a great scene.
It's a great scene.
That is great. Yeah. Actually, it's my wife would agree with you. She thought that 45 was the tougher age for her than hitting 50. She's 50 is no big deal. So she's concerned about 55. So I'll have her call you.
Okay.
So get a little, give her a coaching session on how that works. But the bigger problem I have is as we run into the new year is where a lot of people like, I love your attitude. You're taking time off. You're spending time with your family. You're resting, looking forward to the new year. I sit in angst over what I should be doing starting January 1st. I have 17 notebooks around me right now at my goals and what I need to stop doing and start doing. It's just really, I don't know. I don't know why I do this to myself. I just do.
This is the time of year for that. This is the time of year I always do it.
Do you have a set process that you use?
I do. I actually do. Yeah, I have a set process from. I don't start it till after Christmas, and I use the time. Usually it's a week. A weekday week is what I mean by that. I know it's always. I know it's always days about a week between Christmas and New Year's, but it's usually weekdays, and it's a nice time off and away from work that I can sit. I can journal. I can think about what I want to stop, what I want to start, where I want to be at the end of the coming year, and write all those things out. And what I usually do, and I saw your post on this actually about how you write it out, and I love the way you write it out in the present tense.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Which is really important. I do the same thing. I write it out in the present tense, and I write it out as, I am, right? I am doing this, I am doing that. So it's moving yourself into that future. And I kind of write it as like a letter to myself. Like I write it like I'm writing to my past self. My future self is writing a letter to my past self. And I write it in a journal, and I've been doing it for, 15 years, 20 years.
And then do you review
and I
that?
keep it in the same book.
And you review
I have it
on
I have it
daily basis, regular basis? What do you do?
I review it probably once or twice a year. I always review it at this time of year. I review what you did for last year, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't review it monthly or during the year, mostly because I keep it pretty simple. In other words, I don't. There's not 22 things on that list. There's like 4 on that list, and so they are my big rocks basically for the year, and everything else becomes medium size or little rocks for that. So I pretty much know them. I don't need to review it, but occasionally, like on my birthday, which is mid-year, I'll do that.
I have to review on a regular basis so that I wake up doing.
Is it because you have a lot, or just because you want to review it and sort of remember?
Yes. Well, no, I've got about 6 or so. I aspire. I posted this today. Warren Buffett's 25-5 strategy. He posts 25 things you want to accomplish. Circle the 5 and only focus on the 5. But I separate mine into different categories. So I have mine in front of me right now. I have a career wealth goals. I have family goals, spiritual goals, physical goals, mental goals, and then giving philanthropic goals. And I have one or two specific ones that I can actually measure. And what I believe is the best way to do it is you review it before you go to sleep at night, and then you review it in the morning. Because if you go to sleep at night and you review these things, it really works in your subconscious while you sleep. And you wake up renewed and refreshed and working on those. And it points you in the right direction every day about the most important things. Because as you know, we get inundated with emails and social and problems that are going on. And you forget that, I've got to work on this big project or whatever the case is.
Absolutely do. You absolutely do. And it also helps you make judgments if a huge opportunity you think at the time is a huge opportunity comes in, and you can review it against those things and say, okay, what gives, right? If I say yes to this, what gives away? Boy, that makes decision making a little easier.
Yeah, exactly. Because then, you have to, we said this, I think, last episode. Strategy is about saying no. And so you have to say no to a lot of things so that you can emphatically say yes to a few things during the year. So that's what I'm focused on. And the problem is I got a lot of yeses here, and I've got to get rid of some of these because there's too many. Too many going on. So, but don't you worry, Robert. This old marketing is staying on the list for 2020. I know you were concerned.
Oh, my goodness.
That I was going to get rid of, I was going to say no.
No, I wasn't concerned about you. If you quit, I'll just keep doing it.
Well, thanks for that. because I'm easily replaceable.
Yeah, I mean, aren't we all?
Well, that's true. I mean,
aren't we
and
all?
everyone knows this.
I'll just get a Chat GPT version of
that
Joe
actually
Polizzi
wouldn't be bad. But everyone knows out of this, generally we have 60 minutes is our podcast length, and I have about 20 minutes of that, and you have about 40 minutes of that. So everyone knows that I'm easily replaceable because I don't talk as much as you. Just a thing.
There we have it. There we have it.
But you should.
Speaking
You're the elder statesman. You should get more time. Because
that's true. That's also true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why I
agree.
defer to you.
Speaking of which, should we get to a show?
Why not?
Because
sure.
We do.
Let's do that.
Have a wonderful show here, including it'll be fun. We do promise you when we get to that segment of the show, we made good on a promise. Anyway, so we'll get to that. We do have a wonderful show. We'll talk a little bit, just very briefly, about Trump and his shady NFT project that seems to be gathering some attention right about now. We will have our Muskie Scent segment and talk a little bit about some of the news from Twitter and what Elon has been doing, because there was quite a busy week again for that whole situation. We'll talk some about Spotify and how they may rebrand. We've talked about Anchor and the content creator ideas on Spotify before, and looks like now they may rebrand it to a creator studio. Restoration Hardware, a brand we often don't get to talk about the acquisitions in the space, and this is a really interesting one. Restoration Hardware starting a media company. That'll be really interesting to chat about. And if we get time, we'll talk a little bit about Google and Meta and their ad dominance and how it might actually be sunsetting into something else that may not actually be about the wonderful TikTok. We'll get to rants and raves, of course, and I'm going to have a little Christmas poem for everybody to send everybody into the Christmas holiday with, and also a very quick commentary on artificial intelligence. And then Joe is going to talk about MatPat, who has big news he wants to share, and I'm sure I've watched the video, and I think Joe has some lessons for us in that as well. I would guess.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe
we'll see how much time you let me talk.
There it is. I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely. Let's do this.
All right. Yeah, let's do this. Let's start with Trump and the NFT project that he has launched. This is coming courtesy of CoinDesk, although a number of outlets are actually reporting on it. The news is that crypto Twitter delves into strange, sloppy side of Trump's NFT collection. Online sleuths have analyzed blockchain data and assets in the former president's NFT collection, finding evidence of stolen art, shady wallet addresses, painting a picture of how digital collectibles came to be. The article opens up by saying, "Seems like a scam, and in many ways it is," said James Austin Johnson. Wow, what a name. James Austin Johnson. That sounds like a... Anyway, I'm going to...
Like a fullback.
Who played the 45th president in the show's Cold... Yeah. While the mainstream media has eagerly picked up the story for its comedic value, the popularity of the Trump digital trading cards has continued to climb since the collection dropped on Thursday, selling out within 24 hours. According to data from OpenSea, which apparently is still a thing, that's my commentary, not the articles, the collection's trading volume is 6,658 ETH, or about $7.8 million at the time of publishing. Its floor price, which started at $99, has been hovering around 0.3 ETH or $350. The collection features 45,000 tokens in the style of baseball cards. In each collectible, Trump wears a different costume linked to rarity elements that allow users to enter a sweepstakes to win prizes like a Zoom call with the former president or a cocktail hour at Mar-a-Lago. The article goes on to really talk through some of the shadier and sort of weirder aspects of it. But you're Mr. NFT. What do you think about this? Is this just him getting in on a trend, or is this a money grab, or a little bit of both, or what do you think?
I don't know the intentions at first. Yeah, it looks like a little bit of a money grab, but I do want to say that some of the setup of this is not horrible, because it's about access. So a lot of the rarer NFTs that Trump launched with these things get access to Trump. You get to have lunch with them, or you get a Zoom call with them, or whatever.
Promised
and those
access.
are great. Like
Promised access.
Yeah, so it's all about access. So I think we talked about a couple episodes ago. I mean, NFTs as a technology is not dead at all. Actually, a lot of them are still growing. There's some of these communities are thriving, but again, less about collectability going forward and more about access and utility and what can these things do. Now, let's look at this in particular and pick this apart. This was kind of thrown together, if you will, and if you want to go through the article, it really talks about the fact that some of the imagery was not reported properly. I guess there's copyright issues going on here. There's Shutterstock backgrounds. There's Adobe licensing that hasn't been taken care of in many cases. So I don't know who did this necessarily. I don't, whatever. I mean, the article talks about Sylvester Stallone's NFT company was used to do this. I don't know if that says anything, but this was kind of thrown together. So if you want to learn about how not to launch a program when it comes to licensing, this is probably a good way to do it. It's also interesting that 72% of the people that ended up minting a Trump digital collectible here were first timers. So a lot of people are making the point that these Trump NFTs, which have increased in value, I think from $99 to like around $300 or $400, and some of them are going for many thousands of dollars. They don't know how to sell them. They don't. They don't have crypto wallets that have any money in it that they even can sell it and cover the fees. So it's just interesting. That's why somebody was making a joke in the article that says the reason why that the prices are going up so high because nobody knows how to sell them. So they're just kind of holding. But I guess I want to throw out a little bit of kudos as yeah, some of the setup was really good, but there are some things to learn here. And I really do believe, regardless of what you want to believe about this whole set, 23 is going to be a big year for NFTs and brands. And I think because you've got Starbucks behind their Odyssey Rewards program, and that's really starting to take off and get some positive reviews. Nike is going all in. I think if we get beyond the collectability and we're talking about people can use these things to do something, to get things to go places, I think there's a really bright future in 23 for NFTs.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, next week will be our predictions show where we'll review what we talked about last year for predictions around 2022 and predictions for 2023. I agree. The funny thing to me is, I mean, the article goes on, and there have been many people who have talked about the imagery and the copyright thing with Adobe watermarks still being on the pictures, Shutterstock watermarks still being on the pictures. The fascinating thing to me is, in a weird sort of twisted, warped way, that makes them more collectible, because that if I held one of these NFTs that has the Adobe watermark on it, the natural inclination is going to be for them to go in and fix that, right? They're going to go in and fix the image and replace the image that you bought with one that doesn't have a watermark on it. Somebody's going to go, hey, that's a legal problem. We need to fix that. But if I was an NFT holder, I'd actually be a little upset at that, because I'm buying it because of the, I don't know if you want to call it maverick version.
I don't know. It might be a stretch there.
I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous in my mind, but it is a fascinating time. And by the way, we'll talk about this next show when we do our predictions. I don't disagree that NFTs will be a thing, but I don't think they're going to be a big thing next year. I think this is something that will fade. When I'm talking about his Trump thing here, I think this is something. I agree with you 100%. The reason that we're not seeing any trading happen here is because nobody knows how to. The people who are buying this don't know how. They bought it, and it's like buying a plate, from QVC. They have the Trump plate now, and now they don't know what to do with it.
Or maybe they just want to keep it, which is fine. Which is, I mean, it is.
Well, I guess there's that. Yeah, I guess there's that. So it's.
If you believe it, if you look at it like you're buying a trading card, like this was the Topps trading card, it's fine. It's fine. Hey, I get one of 45,000. Wonderful. And some might be rare, some might not be rare.
Well, that might actually be an interesting data point that we'll discover maybe January, February, March, is that the majority of people who bought these were actually professional NFT collectors who have some bet that the rarity of these things, because of the silliness of it, will actually increase in value, right?
Well, that was that was a very small percentage, though. 72%.
Oh, it was.
Right? If you look at the bottom here, 72%. They said of buyers were likely purchasing this NFT for the first time because they have.
Oh, I did not see that.
Because
okay,
in
great.
their digital wallet they scanned it and they have no funds at all, even to cover fees. So that's why they're saying a lot of these are. So there's a whole new crowd of NFT collectors that came in here because they'd never done this before. Because they're just Donald Trump, great. I want this collectible. How do I do it?
Well, that's good news for OpenSea, I suppose. Yeah,
exactly. So for that standpoint, it's bringing some new people in, but I don't know long term what this means. So
whatever. There you go.
But,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, now, folks, it is time. That's right. It is time for our musky scent segment.
Oh, that musky. Oh, that musky scent.
All right, what did you think? What did you think of the music there?
I especially like the voice, the AI automated voice of Mr. Robert Rose.
The AI. Yeah, there you go. The fully auto-tuned. I couldn't find a singer in time. So, if any of you out there, I would like to say, if any of you fans out there would like to volunteer, if you're a singer, by the way, if you're not any better than me, then don't volunteer. But if you would like to volunteer your voice, I would be happy to send you the little clip so that you can time it the way it's supposed to be timed, as you can hear. And if you want to sing it, I would be glad to do it. I
can't believe you just opened that up to everyone.
Yeah, no. I'm totally opening it up. I want to hear. I want to hear all this American Idol. We're going to American Idol this thing. It's going to be.
I'm going to send in an impression of me doing Elmo to Muskie Scent Twitter and see if that wins.
Well, see, that's what we could do. We could feature, if there's a lot. I don't think there's going to be a lot, by the way. But if there was a lot, we could do a different one each week. We could do Elmo doing Muskie Scent theme song. We could do so much. There's so much room.
You know the phrase,
I may be the only one who enjoys this joke, but I really.
Well, you know the phrase jumping the shark. This could be the episode.
This could be the one.
The one of the last 20 that we thought we did. You never know.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
good.
right. Well,
thank you for putting that together.
Yeah,
that was.
Of course, it was absolutely a joy to do it.
Do we have musky news to discuss?
There is so much. There's so much that has happened, that has opened and closed literally in the last week here. He banned, Elon Musk is, by the way, who we're talking about. He banned journalists from CNN and other outlets before then, basically bringing them back. He said he was going to abide by a poll that would replace him as CEO. And then, of course, he said, no, I'm not going to do that until I find a replacement. He said the new check marks for brands, these gold check marks, were absolutely clear for brands until, of course, they weren't. And we can talk a little bit about that. And, of course, he said that the Twitter files said the FBI was paying for misinformation. And, of course, they were not. And they aren't. And so there's so much here to cover. And we're going to link to all of this, obviously, in the show notes. I have a take on a couple of these things, but wanted to get your take first.
Well, the first take is we talked about it, I think, last Muskie Scent episode, where this is like a alpha or a beta software test run to 200 million people at one time. We're just making all kinds of changes. We're going to ban this. We're going to add this check mark. We're going to do. Come on. It's just. I guess there's some positive nature to it. But I don't understand what the heck's going on. It looks like from the social media competition banning, where you saw Instagram and Mastodon being blocked, if you will, it's just going to increase the scrutiny of regulators as to Twitter in general. So I don't necessarily think that that's a good thing. And then my take on the resignation, this has nothing to do with his pet project of Twitter. This has everything to do with the most valuable company that Elon is attached to, and Tesla, which last episode we talked about Tesla stock being down 30%. Well, it's down another 10+%. It's hovering at like $130 a share right now. And if Elon doesn't do something to get focused back onto Tesla, because everyone's losing faith, and there's a lot of people out there that are associating Elon now with Twitter and negativity toward Tesla. This is an ongoing problem. You got to fix that immediately. So if that means getting a new CEO, then by all means do that. But this is a big problem, because if that stock continues to go down, Elon's value, he's not going to be the second richest person anymore. He's not going to be the 10th richest person anymore, because his entire wealth is tied to Tesla stock.
That's right.
So it's going to be a problem. And this is a distraction that Elon should get out of immediately, in my opinion. So, whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's an amazing thing. I mean, the blocking of the journalists it's fascinating, by the way. Just a completely random data point. I have gotten more connections now on Mastodon in the last 5 days than in the last 5 weeks. And
from people, you think that's from people leaving Twitter?
I don't know. I don't know whether it's just I don't know whether it was a exodus from Twitter or a rise in the popularity of Mastodon, but it has. Yeah, and people we know, right? People that are friends and family, and we've known for years. These are people that are that are now connecting with me on Mastodon. And I'm chalking it up a bit to both, but I mean that may be an overreaction on my part. But I think there's a real, it's starting to really happen. I think, because I look at what's going on. The thing that really interested me the most was what the check marks and the brand things are doing, because now you've got brands, and this was an article when we link to it, it'll be from Ad Age actually, where there's all kinds of confusion about what the check marks mean, because some brands are getting gold check marks and their avatars are turning into squares, and there's some very humorous things that are going on around that, but some of them are still blue, because I guess they've paid for blue, or they were blue before they actually got the whole other thing got launched. I find it fascinating that there's a new. I bought a blue check mark from the very earliest when they launched it for $8 or whatever. I haven't gotten any notice that I need to up my ante.
You have a blue check mark right now?
I do.
Okay.
I think I do. I haven't checked this morning, but the other thing is that I have. When they were going around banning the journalists, they were also banning anybody. The policy was they were going to ban anybody who had a link to Mastodon or another social profile in their bio. And that was a fascinating thing, because I, of course, do that now. I have a link on my bio to my Mastodon my profile, and I didn't get banned. But I saw a lot of tweets from people who actually did get temporary bans, and then of course it went away. It's a mess, and I just don't understand the productivity of that. I get that he stays in the news, and I get that he's the thing that I guess bothers me the most is there's been a couple of posts, and maybe I'll try and find some for the show notes, but there's been a few posts from the Silicon Valley, I guess, bro culture for more than anything else. Some of the VC firms and some of the other kinds of firms that are out there that are clapping, that are applauding, and they're saying this is what Silicon Valley needed, was somebody to come in and cut the bloat of staff in technology companies, cut the bloat in spending, and see that really that we've been operating under this umbrella of ridiculousness for too long, and Elon Musk is just the guy to bring out the whole thing of how companies should be run. And man, do I not agree with any word of that sentence. And so it's so disheartening for me to see what's going on there. And it's entertaining for sure, but at the same time, it's just you look at it and go, I just feel for those people who have to go through this. It's just silly. It's just silly.
I think, and of course, this whole section of the show is silly, and we've got a silly song.
Of course.
We're treating it that way. But I really think, if you go back to your experience here with Mastodon, Mastodon is not the Twitter replacement. I actually think now that I've seen the past couple of weeks, it seems like the beneficiary of most of this is LinkedIn. I see a ton of people focusing more
huge.
Time on LinkedIn.
Doubling down, doubling down.
I guess that's the proof. That's the point here for content creators and marketers listening to this, is that take a hard look at LinkedIn. You know, owned by Microsoft, still rented land, but they are definitely investing in it. I actually just launched. I have my personal newsletter that I send out an email to.
I saw that.
I'm launching it on, and I guess you'd call it.
Why did you do that? I'm curious. We haven't talked about this at all since you made the decision to do it. I'm curious why you made the decision to do that.
So part of I've been looking to say, okay, if I focused all my time on one platform, what would it be? Would it be? And I've been doing it on two platforms. It's been Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm going to basically put all my resources onto LinkedIn. I've got a fair number of followers that I've had on LinkedIn for a long time, but I really haven't activated it. And I said, okay, well, I have this email audience. Is there a way to leverage LinkedIn to ultimately drive email? So I'm going to create a little bit of a system where I give, it's mostly the same newsletter, but there's going to be a little bit more probably in the email version if people want to sign up for it. And I put that out there, 3 days ago? And I've already got 11,000 subscribers. So it's not a small number of subscribers.
No.
So I'm
that's a great conversion rate.
There's something
here.
I
know your followers, and that's a great conversion rate.
Now, do I know if people are going to read it all? I mean, I get a couple LinkedIn newsletters. Some I read, some I don't. So we'll see. And I don't even know what data I can get, but I do know that there is something here, and my audience, for the most part, is on LinkedIn and hanging out there. If you look at founders, entrepreneurs, even content marketers. So I'm going all in on LinkedIn in 2023, and I'm using it as a proof point. I've got a couple of numbers that I'm looking at, and so we'll see. But I'm very excited about the possibilities just from putting it out there and say, hey, I got a newsletter, and you get that many signups. I'm like, okay, there's something here. So we'll see.
I like it. I like it. I like that a lot. Yeah, I of course said yes when I got the invite, and it's one of the few that I've actually said yes to. I mean, I get them daily. I get 2 or 3 a day. And that's one of the reasons I haven't done it yet, is because I was like, wow, it seems like everybody is doing this. But of course, when you sent it, I'm immediately in, but it's interesting. I subscribe to a couple, but they're from people that I already get their email newsletter from. So I'm not sure what that says about me per se, but it's interesting. I think I think this is going to be a really interesting experiment.
I'll let you know. So I'm committing to basically every day posting something on LinkedIn. From that standpoint, and I've got a list of 5 to 10 people that I'm commenting on now on a regular basis. I'm doing the whole thing just on LinkedIn. Yeah. So I'm taking the time that I spent.
Well, I've been doing that for a little while, and that's committing to a LinkedIn and some quality posting and quality commenting. I've been doing that for a little while and really enjoying it.
And by the way, if there is something such as, social media is still alive and not dead, I'm having some really good conversations with people, and a lot of these conversations lead to business in some way. It's really something to see this happen, that this is still a possibility, and I hope that Microsoft doesn't screw it up and they just keep it the way
they haven't so far. They haven't so far. Yeah. They've done a remarkable job of not screwing anything up as it pertains.
By the way, they have a really
LinkedIn.
Good track record. When they bought Minecraft, the first thing I think I predicted it on the show. I said, "Oh, get ready. They're going to screw the whole thing up," because big companies usually do when they come in and buy a brand like that. But they haven't. They have not screwed up that brand in any way, and that community is as large as it's ever been. So,
yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right, moving on out of this segment, and hopefully you all enjoyed that. Let us know, of course. By the way, been getting some voicemails through the website from you folks, and man, is that fun! It's just really
thank
fun
you.
to get
We
those.
love hearing your voice.
It was
really good.
Yeah, it was
thisoldmarketing.site, by the way, just so people know.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, talking a little bit about Spotify here, and this article come to us courtesy of TechCrunch. Spotify is now considering rebranding Anchor to the Spotify Creator Studio. The article opens up by saying, according to a survey sent to creators in the Spotify for Podcasters program, can't you imagine now that everybody, all these brands that are issuing polls out to their users are just like, oh my God, Elon is ruining it for everybody. Anyway, according to a survey sent to creators in the Spotify for Podcasters program, the streaming giant might be doing away with the Anchor brand. Anchor, which Spotify acquired for $340 million in a deal that included the studio Gimlet, is a free podcasting hosting service. In 2020, Anchor said that its service was used to create 1 million new podcasts, accounting for 80% of new shows uploaded to Spotify that year. But now that Anchor has been a part of Spotify for almost 3 years, the company appears to be considering a rebrand. In the survey sent to some podcasters who have claimed their show on Spotify for Podcasters, the research team shared information about the possible rebrand, which is still being tested with potential users. Anchor and Spotify for Podcasters are now Spotify Creator Studios, the all-in-one platform for creators of all kinds and sizes to express themselves and find success on Spotify. The sample announcement in the survey reads. It then provides a example of that, a screenshot that was provided to TechCrunch, and basically comes back to saying, right now you can join Spotify for Podcasters, even if you use another service like Libsyn, which is, of course, what we use, Podbean or Buzzsprout. Those that have or host via Anchor have access to features like subscription monetization, video podcasts, but only listeners using Spotify are able to interact with that content, which is, of course, the big con right now. What do you think about this? Is this Spotify making a sort of effort to get into the content creator idea, the content entrepreneur idea? And if so, do you think it'll be successful?
I think this is a huge strategy by Spotify going head to head against Apple and Amazon. So if you look at Apple being the leading RSS distributor of podcasts, let's say, Spotify's taking or going to take that spot over where Spotify will be the home for all audio content, podcasts and audiobooks. So on the audiobook side, you have Amazon. Spotify is absolutely going after that as well. So you'll see Spotify Creator Studio, whatever you want to call it. It's just going to be Spotify ultimately. And this is a done deal. This thing is going to happen. Everything is going to be Spotify.
Yeah. This is done.
People are going to associate any type of audio content that I want to create. How do I go ahead and distribute that? And they want Spotify to be the name that people think about. So I think this is where it's headed. I mean, this is just a proof point, another little detail. They're working it all out. They can, help you create, distribute your podcast, help you create, distribute your audiobooks, whatever audio content you have coming down the pike, they're going to be able to help you create it and distribute it. So
I don't understand why they wouldn't let you distribute it beyond Spotify. That to me is the weird thing to me. I mean, I get why they might not provide you analytics or, have the ability to do certain things because they don't control that. It's ostensibly just an RSS feed, but why they wouldn't allow you to go wider distribution than just Spotify, because anybody who's going to sign up for the Anchor or Spotify Content Creator Studio service, if they have any seriousness about this, they're also going to have a Libsyn account or something else to make sure that Apple and other distribution platforms, YouTube, can get this. I just don't understand why they wouldn't build that.
It's interesting. If you look at what Amazon did with audiobooks, we've done this, with Killing Marketing. You can sign a deal to just produce it via Amazon, and you get a better percentage rate than you would if you said, "Hey, I'm just going," and so you can do both. You just don't get the benefits that you would normally. So I think Spotify, maybe they will ultimately do the same thing. It's like, okay, we'll send it out to these other spots and distribute it for you, but you don't get the XYZ benefits that you would normally get. I think that's totally fine. Yeah.
It benefits them because if they're going to monetize it, then if you want the monetized version, you'd have to go to Spotify, right? So it makes all the sense in the world for me that they would want you to have the ability to distribute, especially if you're going to use their services to monetize your podcast subscription or whatever, that they would want to give you the capability to distribute it far and wide, because it's extra reach for them, right? Because if I'm encouraged to make a monetized podcast by subscription, but the only way that I can monetize it is through the Spotify platform, well, I want them to be talking about that and saying, hey, listen, I know you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, but you should get it through Spotify so that you can get the $2.99 a month version.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe the walled garden approach in this case is good enough because they have such a large audience already. I don't know.
Yeah.
But obviously, you can see the long-term play here. Spotify is everything audio related.
Yeah.
And there's so much.
Huge.
What I think you're ultimately going to be, I think they're going to get into hardware as well. So watch out
I do
for
too.
that.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. I think they're I know this is a rough metaphor, but I think they're looking at this as kind of the Amazon Web Services of audio, right?
Sure.
If they can build an infrastructure for others to become great audio experts, distributors, creators, et cetera, then it only benefits them by building an entire infrastructure to do that, just like Amazon Web Services.
Yep, absolutely agree with you.
All right. Yep. All right. Quickly, before we get into rants and raves, we'll talk a little bit about a content marketing program here. It's been a while since we've actually gotten to talk about an acquisition, and I'm super glad we can do so toward the end of the year here. This is coming from Restoration Hardware, a store that I really like, by the way. Restoration Hardware is a cool store for those of you into furniture or any sort of things like that. They have launched a media platform. This coming from the Boston Business Journal, and the article that we'll link to in the show notes anyway starts off by saying the former Restoration Hardware is expanding its presence in the luxury furnishings market with 2 acquisitions and the creation of an editorial content platform, part of a long-term strategy to become the world's dominant high-end lifestyle brand. The company, now known as RH, has hired former editor-in-chief of Architectural Digest and Elle Decor, Margaret Russell, to create the editorial entity to be known as RH Media, which will focus on innovations and influential people in the architecture and design world. Russell most recently led her own company, Russell & Co., providing consulting and editorial services. She was previously editor-in-chief of Gallery Magazine, quarterly art and interiors publication, after leading Architectural Digest for 6 years and holding various editorial positions. RH also announced that it has acquired Dimitri & Company, a to-the-trade custom upholstery studio, and hire its founders, Donna and David Feldman, to create RH Couture Upholstery. And, oh my gosh, these names are killing me. And J-Up Inc. to the trade customer furniture maker, and hired founder Joseph J-Up to create
you could have done without that whole
furniture.
You could have done without that whole
Holy
paragraph.
smokes. So I just, sorry, folks,
It's
for
too
that.
much.
Basically, RH has created a media entity. What do you think, Joe?
As we've talked about many times, innovative brands out there, all of them will have some type of media entity like this. And Restoration Hardware knows what they're doing. So this is part of building that up. They have been creating content for a while. If you check out what they've been doing for a long time, they've been creating a lot of how-to and upscale information and getting to this point where they could get to RH Media, which, by the way, that's generally how it happens. You don't go from zero to then saying, oh, now we have a media company. Usually it's a long, arduous struggle to get to that point. You get the executives in your organization to say, yes, we should be doing something like this. This is the next stage in our innovative process. So it's funny. These things are happening, and a lot of the stuff, it's just hard for us to catch because it's not talked about. You're seeing these little media acquisitions happening, and we may not even ever hear about it. They just happen unless somebody is talking about it. And we were lucky in this case that somebody caught it and communicated it on Bizwoman magazine for Boston Business Journal. So we wouldn't have gotten it. So there you go.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating because I think, just to your point, the media acquisition is probably the smallest part of this story. The story goes on to talk about how RH is really launching all kinds of businesses, including color business, and they're trying to get into the luxury home business. They are truly following your model of the Disney multiple roads leading in, and that whole business operational model of multiple lines of revenue and multiple businesses and becoming a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
And part of that is acquiring these media operations to drive this, which I love, because what it shows is that content and media is really part of their overall business strategy. And so they're getting serious about content and marketing, or content marketing as some people call it, as part of an overall business strategy that is transforming them from simple retail brand to lifestyle brand.
It's such a great point. You cannot overstate what you just said, because if you look at somebody like an RH getting into these areas that they haven't been in, the first thing you do is you buy the attention, you buy the audience.
Right. Exactly.
That's what they're doing, and they're buying the editorial talent associated with that, and they do that for a little bit, and then they launch the product, and it takes off right away because the audience is there, and they don't have to go and put ads around something else. So it's brilliant.
And you've demonstrated that value. You've already demonstrated that value, that you can provide attention, thought leadership, experience. All of those things are there. And now when you launch that luxury home brand, people go, oh, of course, RH, they're a lifestyle brand. Of course they would launch a luxury home business. And of course they would launch a restaurant business. And of course they would do all those things. They're a luxury brand. It's,
love it.
It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our rants and raves part of the show. But before we do that, let's just quickly note that, as we mentioned before, you can always get all the links to the show notes at our wonderful website at thisoldmarketing.site, where you can, of course, leave us a voicemail. Let us know if you want to become part of the segment of That Musky Scent, and you're a singer and want to audition for that. We would love to hear about all of that. And also the Twitter questions. We are, as we start to think about Twitter, of course, we are still monitoring Twitter for the hashtag #ThisOldMarketing. Been a little light. I think that's probably another data point in the usage of our fans of Twitter, but we'd love those show ideas. We definitely thrive on those show ideas, so do give it that.
Yeah, but just a quick point on that, Robert. Yeah, we're getting more to the website. We're getting more inquiries on the website directly. So just go to thisoldmarketing.site.
I love that.
Is easier than us figuring out what Twitter's doing. So there you go.
Yeah. I totally love that. That's fantastic. Do you want to go first?
Yes, I would be happy. Yeah, let's
you go first,
with your
because then I'll close with our Christmas poem. So
I was so excited. I got to tell you a little bit of backstory here. So my oldest comes downstairs, very excited, and says, Dad, Matthew Patrick just sold his business. And for those of you that don't know Matthew Patrick, I've been following Matt's career ever since we went out and tried to get him as a speaker for Content Marketing World in 2012. So this is 10 years ago. And at that time, he launched a little YouTube channel called Game Theory. And it's basically regular conspiracies about what's going on in the gaming community. And he did a really good job, built up 1 million plus subscribers on YouTube, and it was one of the leading YouTubers at the time. And we were lucky to get him to come to Content Marketing World 2013. He did a YouTube workshop and did a wonderful breakout as well. And we've kept in touch ever since. He was one of our key case studies in Content Inc., which was the new version of Content Inc. I put out in 2021. And so my oldest comes down, says, Matt sold the business. I watched the video. I know you watched the video too, Robert. It's about a 17, 20-minute video. By the way, if you were a content creator, content marketer, it's worth watching the video, because he goes through the history of what's going on in YouTube, what happened, the different areas of change over YouTube, but then talks about how, and as you and I have talked about it, Robert, this idea of content acquisitions is going to be huge in 2023, especially with YouTubers. And so there's a company called Lunar X, which bought Matthew Patrick's Theorists Inc. company. And Theorists Inc. is made up of game theory originally, then food theory and film theory. And all these channels have millions and millions of subscribers to them. I have no idea how much money this went for. It had to be 10 plus million easy, probably a lot bigger than that. But actually what Matthew goes through is I'm still going to stay involved, but I can focus more on creative, and I don't have to focus on the business of running the media company, which is what Matthew didn't want to do. So I just want to send out a congratulations to Matthew. I'll just show it as a proof point that this is going to be bigger and bigger as we get into 23 and 24. And if you're going to see anything come out of whatever this is with a recession, you're going to see a ton of these deals and a ton of creators say, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to create content on a regular basis, but I don't want to deal with the hassle of overhead and getting money for some of these new initiatives. And there'll be wonderful companies out there ready to, like a Restoration Hardware, ready to go and buy these types of things. And some of them are going to work. And some of them aren't, but I think that this is going to be the trend you're going to see in the next couple of years.
Couldn't agree more. I love the video, and by the way, there are wonderful lessons to learn. I mean, he goes through the life cycle of his entire business and how much time he spends in meetings, and how food theory took years to actually develop, and how they developed it, and it's just a masterclass. For, I don't know, the video is probably 20 minutes long, 25 minutes long, something like that. And it's more than just an announcement. And second of all, he's just so damn charming. I mean, it's hard to not just love watching him and just,
well, talk about it first. If you want to just watch it to see how a video's done for YouTube, they're the best. They're the best of the best.
Absolutely. So much attention to detail and production. And, anyway, go on a rave about that. All right. Yes. So I have a little Christmas poem, as I did last year. I realized that I did this last year and then thought I would do it again because, I don't know, it was fun. I hope you all enjoy it. And it is, of course, to the tune of, it is me stealing the thunder of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and it's a little bit of a holiday story for us as we go into break. And 'twas the night before break, Joe. Elon was high. Content marketers worried that they'd all be replaced by AI. Inflation persisted, economic signals unclear, and all hoped that more layoffs wouldn't soon appear. All content practitioners climbed into their beds while visions of first-party data danced in their heads. My wife turned on Yellowstone, the remote in her grip. I'm so glad she likes me a smidge bitter than Rip. As we settled down to watch, I set down my phone and we poured some wine. Why not? The fourth quarter was sown. Then on my device, there arose such an explosion, I thought it must be that TikTok was still open. The emails poured in so furious and fast, I couldn't keep up with the incoming blast. The subject line shouted, so many distractions that every single one of them a severe overreaction. Then what to my marketer's eyes should appear, all the news about Meta and Twitter and ChatGPT. Predictions of disruptions, recessions, and worst of all, those LinkedIn spam messages asking, can you just hop on a call? And then came a noise so lively and quick, I closed all my apps. It must be St. Nick. With a whistle and shout, he rolled up in a Chevrolet. He shrugged, I'm still long on Bitcoin. I had to hawk the sleigh. Then faster than FTX went from billions to bust, St. Nick whipped open his iPhone 14 and began to adjust. Now brand, now marketing, now culture and tech, on ops, on strategy, check, and check. He swiped and he swooped and he swooped dramatically, smashing update. Holiday magic emerged, making all the stress evaporate. He spoke not a word, but held a hand to his ear, listening as all those distractions disappeared. Then with a wink and a wave of farewell, he said, remember, it's your story. Tell it well. Now, wait a minute, I cried, that line is mine. And he sighed and said, I'm sorry, I use generative AI. How about this one, he said, as he tried and turned to face me. I wish you the best in 2023. Then he drove off in his red Chevy Bolt, all gone the anxiety those work distractions evoked. The future was bright. New plans lay ahead, and everyone felt courage replace their vague dread. Then I heard him exclaim as he yelled with a true cheer, "Happy holidays to all, and a happy new year."
Oh, that was
There you go.
brilliant. Did you write that all yourself?
I did. I absolutely
Did you
did.
post
There was
that
no
anywhere
AI
else?
involved in that at all. What's
Did
that?
you post it somewhere else?
It will be posted on CMI. Yeah, it will be posted as part of my weekly
Oh,
post
very
on CMI's.
nice. You should post that on LinkedIn
letter.
too, if you can.
Yeah, I will. Once it goes out, I will do that. That'll happen tomorrow, and in concert with the with our lovely show.
That is great. Yeah. So you missed your calling there. You have to produce a book of poems, book of holiday poems.
Book of poems. Yes,
Yeah, I especially
that is
like
right.
the going long on Bitcoin, so I had to hawk it for the sleigh.
Yeah, hawk the sleigh.
I think
Yeah.
everybody
He's driving a Chevrolet Bolt.
exactly good, very very cool. And then everyone can look forward to more originality next week because we're going to do our predictions.
We're going to
Which
do our
is always a
prediction show,
favorite,
which will be
which
totally
is
fun.
usually our most
Absolutely.
it's usually our most popular of the year.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It is because people like to hear when we're wrong, and we're wrong a lot.
We're wrong a lot. Yes, and in preparation for the show, looking back on 2022 predictions, yeah, we were wrong a lot. All right. Well, I hope you have a lovely, wonderful Christmas.
Yes, we'll try to stay warm. At least you'll be warm. And
We'll be very warm.
really,
It's going to be
really
80
cold.
degrees here on Christmas. Yeah, it's going to be summertime here. It's going to be fantastic.
That's so great to hear.
Absolutely. All right. For you and yours, have a lovely, wonderful Christmas weekend. And we will, of course, see you next week. And remember, in the meantime, it's not AI. It's me actually saying it's your story. Tell it well. We'll see you next week on This Old Marketing.